Yeah, for every 10 seconds, there's 10 more joining. So I think we can get started now. Hello, my name is Adrian, and I work in the marketing department at ScholarshipOwl. And with me today, I have Jennifer, who is a really good admission counselor and is a professional when it comes to helping students in their career. We're proud to have her here today. If something happens with the webinar as we go, just go back to the same link as you joined. Regards to the microphone and the camera, we will open for a Q&A in about 20 minutes. So you should press the speak button, and then it will prompt you to get your camera and your audio ready. And we will have to pick you. The one who raises his hand first will go first, and then we will go in an order. I think we can only have 6 people on at a time. We have a lot of exciting things going on at ScholarshipOwl. We have got a lot more awards for the scholarships, the COVID-19 scholarships. I will give you the link after this webinar where you can apply for the scholarship or the COVID-19 scholarships. And we just added a bunch of new awards, and we're doing a lot of exciting things when it comes to that. And then if you stay at the end, we will have a cheat sheet ready for you that you can download. And then for now, I will just like Jennifer to take over.
All right. So thank you all for joining us today. I'm really excited to be here. It's a challenging time for high school seniors and for college sophomores that are looking at, starting at a university in the fall. And it's also challenging for those who are going to be starting to apply to colleges. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. As Adrian mentioned, there will be a Q&A at the end. We would love it if you guys have questions to go ahead and put them in the chat, because when we get to the Q&A, Adrian's going to go through those questions and pick as many of them as he can for me to answer. And also, as he mentioned, we're going to have some live Q&A. So for those of you who want to be on camera and have me talk to you, that's great too. But for right now, I'm going to start with a short presentation. And so you're not going to see us on camera for a minute because I'm going to put the slide deck on. So hang tight, and I will see you all shortly. Okay, so I want to talk to you about what we're going to be talking about today. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, how do I boost my admission chances? And if you're applying to college in 2020, then you're also worried about how COVID-19 will impact the admissions process. So today we're going to talk about this. I'm going to share the tips and strategies that I found to be helpful for my own kids, as well as for the students I've worked with. And we'll also talk about how things might be different for this year's applicants. So let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about how to create your college shortlist, what you can do to strengthen your application, how COVID-19 may impact the application process, whether or not to submit SAT or ACT scores, application tips and strategies, essay writing tips, application follow-up strategies that boost your chances, and then we'll have our live Q&A that we've talked about, and we'll also have the special thank you. This webinar will have 2 parts. As I mentioned, the first part will be this presentation. The second part will be the live interactive Q&A with me and Adrian. And we'd like you to be sure to stay through the whole live Q&A because for those who watch the entire webinar, we're going to be offering a couple of special things. And Adrian's going to talk to you more about that later on. Okay, so let's talk about one of the most obvious but often overlooked ways of boosting your admission chances, and that is to apply to colleges that are a good fit for you. Because if the school is a good fit for you, that will come through in your application, and the admissions rep will be able to see that when making an admission decision. So let's think about that and what it means. You need to consider your academic fit, your career goals, your personality, your likes and dislikes, etc. We're going to get into academic fit in just a sec, but let's first start with the others. So you want to consider your career goals and think about the colleges that interest you. Do you know what the strengths are of each college? Which majors are popular among students? Do you know what level of interest and priority the college places on your chosen major? For example, if you're majoring in a field related to healthcare, have you checked to see if the school you're targeting has developed a strong reputation for their health-related majors? Or is the school primarily known for their engineering or business programs? It isn't enough to simply apply to colleges that offer your major. You'll want to dig more deeply to get a better sense of the strength of their particular program that interests you. Are you an extrovert who loves to socialize and get involved? If so, then a larger campus might be a great fit for you. On the other hand, if you're more introverted or perhaps not as interested in joining clubs or participating in Greek life, then a smaller campus might be ideal. Do you like the idea of being at a school in an urban environment? Or would you prefer school in a more natural setting? And how well do your personal values match the mission and focus of the school? And why is all of this relevant to boosting your admission chances? Well, it's relevant because your academic and career goals, your persona, and your culture and values will be represented through your application essay and through your community service and activities that are listed in your application. Selective colleges are looking for students who are a good fit for their campus, both academically and otherwise. They want students who will exemplify the school's values, ideals, and mission. And they are also looking for students who are likely to be engaged and contribute to the student body and campus. Given this, it's important that you apply to colleges that are a good match for you in all of these areas. Oops. Now let's talk about academic fit. You've probably heard that you need to apply to a range of colleges. Some should be reach schools, some should be match or target schools, and some should be safety schools. When you've selected schools to apply to that fit each of those categories, you will then have created what we call your college shortlist. Why is this important? It's important because you want to apply to some schools where you know you have a very strong chance of being admitted, while also applying to colleges that are a bit more challenging to get into, or even very hard to get into, if you feel you might have a shot at getting into some of those schools. The number of schools you should apply to depends on the kinds of schools you're targeting. And in a typical application year, it also depends on your GPA and test scores. But for fall 2020 applicants, many colleges are going test optional for the SAT and ACT. We're going to talk more about that shortly, but I wanted to mention it now because it's relevant to academic fit. At a minimum, I recommend that students apply to at least 3 match schools, possibly 4 or 5, and 2 to 3 safety schools. If you would like to also apply to reach schools, that's up to you, but it's certainly not required. If you're concerned about the cost of applications, you can apply for a fee waiver. But if you don't qualify for fee waivers, then it's better to drop a reach school rather than dropping a match or a safety school. If you're applying to highly selective schools, you want to apply to several reach schools to maximize your admission chances to at least one of them. And I would then suggest that you apply to 4 or 5 match schools and 3 safety schools. On the other hand, if you've struggled academically and are concerned about your GPA or test scores, apply to 4 or 5 safety schools and 4 match schools. So now that I've said all of that, you may be wondering, how do I determine if a school is a reach, match, or safety? As I mentioned before, this relates to your GPA and test scores and how well they match what each university typically admits. For each school you're considering, you're going to want to do some research online. You'll need to check the average GPA of admitted freshmen, and you'll also need to check the average SAT and ACT scores for admitted freshmen. This information helps colleges decide if you're a good academic fit for their campus. So, let's say your GPA is 3.65 and your SAT is 1150 and your ACT is 26. You would compare that information to the averages of the colleges you're applying to. If you're applying to a college that has an average admitted GPA of 3.5 to 3.7 with an average SAT of 1075 to 1200 and an average ACT of 25 to 27, then that college would be a good match for you. On the other hand, if the college has an average admitted GPA of 3.95 and an average SAT of 1300 and an average ACT of 30, that school would be a reach for you. And if the college has an average admitted GPA of 3.0 and an average SAT of 1000 and an average ACT of 22, then that school would be a safety. This information is widely available online, but sometimes it's outdated. I find that Prep Scholar has data that is pretty up to date. So I would recommend that you Google Prep Scholar and the name of the college you're interested in, along with the phrase requirements for admission. This will give you detailed information about each of the colleges you're considering. It's important to note that while most colleges do take a holistic view when making admission decisions, historically, your GPA, test scores, and class rank are going to be the factors that most influence an admission rep's decisions. Your essay, extracurriculars, volunteer service, letters of recommendation, etc. can boost your chances, but they won't really make up for deficits in your GPA or test scores. That said, even if your GPA and test scores are outstanding, if you're applying to really elite schools, you'll be competing with other equally outstanding students. And then your essay, extracurriculars, volunteer service, letters of recommendation will really help you to stand out from the pack. But this is not a typical year. And you all need to remember that. So for this year, colleges will be especially interested in your GPA since many campuses are going test optional. Okay. So let's talk about how COVID-19 may impact the application process. Many students are wondering about this. To be honest with you, I'm wondering too, but I'm going to do my best to help clarify with the information currently available. So far, I have not heard that colleges are changing their application deadlines for admission, but we've got a long road to go with COVID, so it's possible that colleges will change their early decision, early action, and regular decision application dates. I strongly recommend that you check each college's website on a regular basis to see if any of these dates are changing. As of right now, most colleges haven't fully indicated how classes will be held in the fall. Many classes have said that they plan to open and that they expect to have a hybrid mix of on-campus and online classes. Some colleges have said that they hope to have many in-person classes, while others are leaning towards having most larger lecture-based classes online, with classes that require special labs and materials being held in person. Some colleges are hoping to have smaller classes in person as well. We don't know how much of the administrative staff will be on campus versus working remotely. If prospective students have questions, they can usually just call the admissions office to talk to someone, but it's quite likely that there will be fewer people on campus to answer the phones and that many questions might need to be emailed. Colleges may also decide to avoid giving campus tours to reduce the number of people on campus, so you might need to use the web a lot more to determine which colleges interest you the most. One important thing to understand is that colleges are very concerned about enrollment and about funding. Some of the students who are accepted for fall 2020 are likely to decide to start at a community college. This means that there will be more admission slots for students applying for admission this fall and who would start classes in fall 2021. This can be a good thing for rising high school seniors and for rising college sophomores who plan to transfer. And as I mentioned earlier, some colleges are going test optional for entrance exams. For students who are applying with the Common App, a new optional question will be available on the Common App in the additional information section. This is not one of the essay questions that you'll choose from. It is essentially a new field that you can choose to respond to if you want to. Here's what the field is going to say. Community disruptions such as COVID-19 and natural disasters can have deep and long-lasting impacts. If you need it, this space is yours to describe those impacts. Colleges care about the effects on your health and well-being, safety, family circumstances, future plans and education, including access to reliable technology and quiet study spaces. You'll be able to decide if you want to respond to this question, and if so, you'll have a maximum word count of 250 words. If you or your family has been adversely impacted by COVID-19 or a natural disaster, I strongly recommend that you respond. Okay. Oops. Just realized I forgot to change the slide for you guys last time. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and change the slide here. Okay. So I talked a little bit about SAT and ACT scores. So should you submit scores if you have them? Prior to this year, there were already colleges that were test optional. But now for this year, many more colleges are going test optional due to some SAT and ACT test administrations being canceled. If you have already taken the SAT or ACT and are happy with your score, you might want to go ahead and submit it to the colleges, assuming that you think your score will boost your admission chances based on the academic fit we discussed earlier. If you are not happy with your score, or if you haven't taken the exams yet, you might want to take the exams this June if it's possible for you to do so, or you might want to take an exam this fall. But you also have the option to not take an exam at all and apply without a score if the colleges you're applying to are test optional. My personal recommendation, if possible, take one or both exams and see how you score. If you like your scores, submit them. If not, don't submit them and only apply to test optional schools. It's important that you research each university you're applying to, especially the more selective universities. What are they looking for when making admission decisions? Most universities will have this information on their website. Taking the time to do this is important, as having this information will enable you to not only make sure the university is a good fit for you, it will also enable you to tailor your application content and essay response based on the knowledge you've gained about the school. You may think that all universities are looking for the same things in a student, and I suppose in general that may be true, but it's the nuances and the way that a college describes what they're looking for that can give you important clues. For example, Yale University has a page on their website specifically dedicated to what they're looking for. One of the things they say is, 2 questions guide our admissions team. Who is likely to make the most of Yale's resources? And who will contribute most significantly to the Yale community? Harvard University application reviewers ask themselves questions as well. Some of them include: have you reached your maximum academic and personal potential? Have you been stretching yourself? Do you have the reserve power to do more? Do you have initiative? Are you a self-starter? What motivates you? What sort of human being are you now? What sort of human being will you be in the future? So even though Yale and Harvard are both Ivy League schools, you can see by the tenor of these questions that they look at applicants a little bit differently than each other. Many students ask me about what they can do when filling out an application to boost their admission chances. To be honest, most online applications don't allow for much creativity in response. The applications have basic fill-in forms where you simply input your contact information, your family and demographic information, your courses taken and what grades you earned, your test scores, etc. Within the Common App, there are a few areas where you do have a chance to make a more unique impression. In the activities section, you'll have an opportunity to describe your activities, the length of time you've been involved with each one, the number of hours per week, and the number of weeks per year required by each. You'll be able to list any leadership and officer roles held, up to 50 characters, a brief description of each one, up to 150 characters, up to a maximum of 10 total activities. Activities would include sports, clubs, organizations, visual arts activities, performing arts activities, community service, hobbies for personal enrichment, etc. If you've participated in more than 10 activities, you should include the 10 activities that you have been most engaged with. You'll also be asked to respond to one of 7 possible essay prompts, so this offers your greatest opportunity to set yourself apart from other candidates. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. You'll have an opportunity to explain any disciplinary actions taken related to your behavior. Of course, if this doesn't apply to you, you shouldn't respond to this question. You'll have an opportunity to provide any additional information not reflected elsewhere in the application. This is your opportunity to present information that could positively influence their admission decision. And like the essay, there is a 650-word limit. You aren't required to put anything in this section, but if you have things that are relevant that you haven't already discussed in your application or essay, it's worth including them here. For example, you might have special circumstances related to your family or your upbringing, challenges you've overcome personally or academically, unique achievements, honors and awards, special talents or abilities, activities beyond the 10 that you listed in the activities section, etc. Here are some examples of the kinds of things you might want to discuss. Extenuating circumstances that have had an impact on grades, test scores, and the ability to participate in activities, such as medical issues, a loss in the family, financial hardship that impacted your focus, if English is not your first language, moving or changing schools, anxiety, disabilities, etc. Or on the other hand, if you've had some special projects or research, if you've created a mobile app or created a nonprofit, putting together an inaugural fundraiser for a club, do not use this space to essentially write another essay because that's not okay. And do not list information you've already provided elsewhere because that appears redundant to the people reading your application. And as I mentioned earlier, this year's Common App will also have a question about how COVID-19 and/or a natural disaster has impacted you and your family. So you'll have an opportunity to write about that should you choose to do so. And this is separate from the additional information section I just talked about. Some colleges also might have supplemental questions that you'll need to respond to, and you may have opportunities to showcase yourself there as well, depending on the information requested. Some colleges also may have, and then it says also some colleges may have supplemental essay questions in addition to the main essay question required by the Common App. So if this is the case, you'll be able to impress them with your responses to these additional essay questions. So I have a full webinar about writing college application essays, but for today, I just want to share a few important tips to remember. Carefully consider the essay prompts that are offered. The Common App has 7 prompts, but you only need to choose one of them. Your essay can be a maximum of 650 words. Spend time carefully considering all of the essay prompts available to you. Jot down notes about what type of essay you could write in response to each of the available prompts. Once you've done this, you'll be better able to gauge which essay prompt offers you the greatest opportunity to showcase your unique background, experience, and talents. Choose a topic that enables you to dig deep within yourself and that inspires you to share details or an anecdote from your experience. Admission reps want to get to know you, and the more you can share of yourself and the more connected you are to what you're going to be writing about, the more you will pull the reader into your writing, and this is what you want to do. If you're a student who has had to overcome significant barriers, you might want to choose a topic that lends itself to that, enabling you to discuss the personal or academic challenges you've experienced and how you've overcome those challenges. But If you're a student who hasn't had significant barriers, then it's best to choose a topic that enables you to expound on your achievements. Now that you've selected your essay prompt, it's time to create your outline. Start by copying and pasting the essay prompt on the top of your document so you can easily refer to it. Next, create a rough outline similar to the way you've created outlines for essays in school. Once your draft outline is complete, review what you've written and think about what makes you unique. Consider your academic abilities, your skills, talents, volunteer service, extracurriculars, etc. What will you be majoring in? How might your major impact what you write about in response to this prompt? Consider your personal background and challenges you've encountered and overcome. How much of this have you incorporated into your outline? If you feel you've missed some things you would really like to share, consider the essay prompt again and see what you can do to incorporate at least some of what makes you unique into your outline in a way that strengthens your response to the essay prompt. Think about what you've learned in school about writing essays. Essays require time and planning. Don't rush, especially with an essay this important. After starting with an outline, you'll proceed to writing your first draft. Then you'll review and edit your essay in a second round and do it again for a third round and possibly a fourth or fifth round if needed. Bottom line, don't start your application essay the night before it's due. And in fact, with so many of us at home all day, every day, you actually have an opportunity to get started on your Common App essay earlier. The Common App opens on August 1st. And I should mention, if you are applying to UC schools, the UC schools also open their application on August 1st. And they have a separate set of essay prompts to choose from. So if you're applying to both University of California schools and Common App schools, then you'll be writing more than just the single essay. If you apply to UC schools, you'll need to write 4 essays. So the sooner you can start on your application essays, the better. When you're creating your rough draft, once again, you want to start with the essay prompt at the top of the document. Begin writing the introduction using your outline as the starting point. Strong essays have a hook that pulls the reader in from the get-go. What will your hook be? Each admission rep reads literally hundreds of essays. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you want to read the same kinds of essays over and over again? Your eyes would likely glaze over. You'll need to make sure that your essay has a strong intro to ensure that your application reviewer is paying attention. With that in mind, spend some time on this first paragraph and do your best to set that hook, while also ensuring that your first paragraph appropriately conveys the key points that will be discussed in your essay. Be sure to show and not tell. This is really important. It's easy to say I love playing soccer. I've been a competitive soccer player for the past 7 years, and I've made significant contributions to my high school's varsity team. But it takes more thought and care to truly show the reader how and why soccer is important to you. The best way to do this is by sharing details and examples that demonstrate your commitment to the sport and that demonstrate your connectedness to what you're writing about. A UC admissions consultant with a blog called Ask Miss Sun said it this way in a recent blog post. Follow the format of, this is what I want you to know. This is an example showing you what I want you to know. This is what I just told you. So here is an example. Soccer is truly integral to my life. In addition to training with my team every day, I also devote my personal time to training, running drills, and practicing shots on goal in my backyard before I get ready for school. I also do weight and cardio training at a fitness center to build strength and endurance. My younger sister is an avid soccer player as well, and I take time to work with her and her team every week. I'm a top-ranked player in my state and would love to be a Duke University Blue Devil, as I know I would be part of an elite team that would truly challenge me. See the difference? It's clear that in the second example, the writer is emotionally connected to the subject matter. Next, after this, you're going to want to write the body paragraphs for your essay, using both your outline and introductory paragraph to get you started. Be sure to review the essay prompt often to be sure that you're staying on topic. Draft your concluding paragraph, being sure to summarize the points made in the preceding paragraphs, while also ending with a compelling final sentence. Within this paragraph, you'll want to refer back to the essay prompt and what you write, ensuring the reader connects the dots appropriately. Review your essay in entirety, tweaking the phrasing where needed. Chances are you'll need to adjust your intro paragraph a bit now that you've written the entire essay, as you've got greater perspective now, and you'll probably have a better arc throughout if you make some adjustments to that first paragraph. Next, you want to check your word count. How close are you to the maximum word count? If your essay is significantly under the maximum word count, go back into your essay and build it up further with more detail. If you are significantly over the word count, check to see what you can easily trim down. If you are over the word count, but not significantly over, then congratulations, you are exactly where you should be for a first draft. You'll want to have 2 adults check your work and give feedback. Edit as needed, iterating to the final essay, ensuring that you stay within the allowed maximum word count. I work with so many students who are worried about their application essays. So it's really important that you focus on this because it's going to make a huge difference in your ability to get admitted to the colleges that you want to go to. So now let's talk about application follow-ups. A lot of people think to themselves, after I submit my application, I'm done. I'm just waiting for my application to be determined. Well, I disagree. It's really important to track your application and to follow up on it. So what does this mean? Be sure to read all college emails in entirety and follow the instructions provided. Most colleges will email you to ask that you set up a portal account with them, and many will also ask you to create an email address just for their campus. In most cases, you can arrange to have your college emails forwarded to your personal email, though, which I highly recommend that you do. You'll also need to check each portal for messages, changes to your application status, requests from the financial aid office, etc. I would recommend doing this at least twice a week initially, and then as you get closer to when colleges start making their decisions, you're going to want to check your portals daily. Be proactive in reaffirming your interest in attending. For example, you can send updated transcripts after your fall grades come in and send an email to the admissions office to alert them. If you have something new and exciting to report, and if that might positively influence their admission decision, be sure to share that with the admissions office as well. This could be an award you've received since you applied, or perhaps a project you're working on is now complete, and now you can describe the results and success of the project. Make sure your email is relevant, brief, and positive, and close with a confirmation of your desire to attend their school. Just to share my own experience with this with students I've worked with, as well as my own kids, I do think that this really does help. One student in particular had struggled a lot, both academically and personally. Her home situation was very unstable, and her parents were not supportive of her and were not interested in her going to college. She had a 2.4 GPA when she applied to state colleges in my home state of California, and I was worried that she would not be accepted to any of them because the California State University system makes their admission decisions based solely on GPA and test scores. Essays and letters of recommendation are not accepted, and extracurriculars are not considered. We focused on applying only to the state universities that had a very high acceptance rate and that had a lower GPA threshold. But even then, it was going to be difficult to get in with less than a 2.5 GPA. I encouraged her to email the admissions office for each school to keep them apprised of her academic progress, including any small wins during her senior year. And also via her email, she was able to share some of her personal difficulties with her family. This essentially became something like a personal statement essay, but because she provided the information via email, she was able to convey information in an accepted way without breaking any rules. She could only afford to apply to 4 schools and was denied by 3, but finally did get accepted to one of them. And the one that accepted her was from the only college that responded back to her emails in a personal and encouraging way. So she'd successfully engaged an admissions officer, and that one thing is likely what got her accepted to the university. So now we're ready to get to our summary of our tips and strategies. I just want to quickly go over this and we'll get to our live Q&A. So remember, you need to create your college shortlist by applying to colleges that are the right fit for you. Understand how COVID-19 might impact the application process. Determine if you want to submit SAT or ACT scores. Research your chosen schools. Know what you can do to strengthen your application. You want to follow my essay writing tips, and you want to stay on top of your application progress and follow up. So I'm now ready to go back on camera, and I'm going to let Adrian help me out here. I'm going to get rid of my slides. All right.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. This was really amazing. You really know your stuff. all the small little details. And there were so many questions this time that came up. And it's really doing a lot there. But there's one question that came like 4 times, I think. It's, are we able to help someone to obtain a scholarship during hard time of COVID-19? Yes, we are. We launched the 3 scholarships on our own. And we received so many applications and so many heartbreaking stories from the students that we actually went out to our partners to get more funding, to give you more awards, to award more scholarships. And we're making really, really good progress. The expiration date is 1st of June. I recommend everybody to go and apply. I will actually, like, if you look at the window now, let's see, something is going to come up. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but there should be some kind of window somewhere that that gives you a link. If you can't see it, don't worry. We'll send it an email after this. And then we are moving over to stage 3, which I can't reveal yet. But in 2 weeks, we are doing something amazing in the student universe. It's going to be mind-blowing. And we're going to do a lot of things to help you guys. So the answer is yes, we're doing what we can to help you. Right now, you guys can raise your hand to speak if you want to. And in the meantime, I have some questions.
Okay, great.
Let's see which one I'm going to pick here. Wow, this really is a lot. Okay, so one question about essays is that what topics do you recommend not to write about? What topic is typically seen a lot and what do I stay away from? Repetitive topics or anything like that?
Sure.
That was from Brittany.
Okay. Well, so my answer to that is, first of all, with the Common App, you're allowed to choose from 1 of 7 essay questions. So, there's not really one that you shouldn't write about. It's really about which essay is the best topic for your own needs, right? So, for example, there's usually, and I don't have the Common App questions in front of me, but there's always a question that relates to challenges that you've overcome. And as I mentioned, if you've got challenges that you've overcome and this is a good essay for you, then that will be a great topic. But I've worked with students who literally tell me, I'm trying to write an adversity essay and I don't know what to write about because my life's been pretty easy. And my answer to that is, don't write an adversity essay. Write an essay that allows you to expound on what you're good at and what your achievements are. There's also on the Common App, you have the opportunity to write your own question and answer it if you choose to, or you could even submit an essay that you've written for another purpose and use that as your Common App essay. There are students that like to do that because it allows them to separate themselves and be different from the other applicants. But if you're going to do that, you need to really write a really good essay, right? Especially if you're not going to write a personal statement kind of essay. If your essay is more like an assignment you turned in for class, then you need to think about how an admissions rep is going to review that assignment essay. So that's just something that you can do, but you need to think carefully if it's a good idea for you.
Excellent answer. Toby, do you have a question? He's probably working out his mic. I can hear it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Toby.
Okay. Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for this opportunity, really, because this is really helping me. I just want to thank you guys for that. Something I was kind of debating was if I was gonna write an essay question that makes me unique, is it kind of okay to write kind of about my religion? Because I know that I discovered myself through my religion, and through my religion, that's just how I am and who I am, and it's been affecting a huge part of my life. So is that something good or okay to write about?
Yes, it is. I will say that certainly if you're applying to universities that would match with your religion, that's a great way to go. If you're not, if you're applying to a public university or a private that's not religiously affiliated, it's still okay. It still represents who you are. And so I think that's just fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for answering the question.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Okay. A lot of people ask about the scholarships that we offer. And just to say that is that most of you will probably be in some capacity eligible for them. So go to the link and then look at the requirements. But if you're enrolled in school today, you are eligible for at least 1 or 2 of them. So how do I say that name? Megs? Megs, sorry. Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're good. How can we help you?
So one of my questions was, do schools that are optional, test optional, do they usually prefer the ACT or the SAT?
It's a great question. And actually, most schools do not have a preference. So that's the good news. What you want to do is you want to figure out which test might be best for you. So if you've taken both tests, then obviously the one where you score higher is going to be the one you want to focus on. You don't have to submit scores from both tests. You can choose just one to send scores for. And if you want to take the exam more than once, you can focus on the test where you did better. The one difference between the two tests that I would say to consider is that the ACT has a science section. And so if you're good at science, then you might want to consider taking the ACT because the SAT does not have a science section. On the other hand, if you're not good at science, perhaps the SAT is going to be a better choice for you.
Okay. Also, is it okay if I ask multiple questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Second, the writing portion on the ACT. Would you recommend that for the first time taking it, or second time?
So if you're applying to schools that require an essay as part of your exam score, you may as well do it the first time. It doesn't really help you to wait on that. Because even if you are going to take the test twice, why not do the writing twice so that you have a chance to improve your writing score? So yeah, if you're going to be taking the writing portion, then definitely take it at the beginning, the very first time you take the exam.
Okay. And then I attended a different webinar a few weeks back. One of the bits of information that we got, I'm sorry, feedback a little.
Okay.
But he said that to go ahead and take your ACT, and then the next month take the SAT. But then they said to take the ACT again. So is there a higher or lower chance to make better or worse depending on the test?
Okay, so it really depends. Some students find that they score better on one exam versus the other. Some students find they have very similar scores. That's what happened with my daughter. She took the SAT and the ACT, and there's a conversion chart you can find online, and her score converted to exactly the same. So it didn't benefit her at all to do one or the other. But for whatever reason, she preferred the ACT. Her experience of it was more positive. So she chose to focus on the ACT and then retook that one. You know, you can retake the test 2 or 3 times. And I highly recommend, if you're going to be taking one or both of these exams, that you focus on the one that you like best and then retake it at least a second time, possibly a third time. I don't think there's much value in taking it more than 3 times. So, you know, 2 times for sure, possibly a third time is what I would recommend, because your scores do improve. Just the process of taking the test and becoming familiar does improve your score. Also, doing a lot of test prep really helps. You know, you can test prep all summer, which is really nice, and take it in the fall. You can get free SAT test prep from Khan Academy online. And then also there are books that you can get. You can order from Amazon if you can't go to your bookstore now because of COVID. But you can use those test prep books, and they do have practice tests. And interestingly enough, you know, you can do the subject review, you can learn everything from the books, but the thing that makes people's score improve the most, this is what I've read, is taking practice tests multiple times. So it's more the process of taking the tests and getting familiar with what that process is that boosts your score more than anything else.
Okay.
Thank you.
I believe that's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, so let's, I'm not sure who was next, but Danielle, let's go with you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I was wondering how important it would be to include non-school activities that you do in your essay. So, for example, I compete in vocal competitions, and I perform at charities for as singing and everything. So I was wondering how important would that be to include if it doesn't, because it's like one of my main hobbies and passions.
Sure.
How important is it to include that in your essay? Would that?
So as far as what to include in your essay, first of all, let me ask, what's your major?
My major is math and statistics.
Okay, so you know, interestingly enough, and I'm sure you've heard this, that people who are good in music tend to be good in math and vice versa. So You certainly could write an essay related to your major and talk about that combination of math and music and what it's meant to you. I think that it would make it relevant. Other than that, I would say if you're going to choose, if you have to write just one essay, like if you're applying to a UC school where you can write 4 essays, then you kind of can say, okay, I'm going to do one about music, I'm going to do one about my major, one about some special thing that I did, right? You have some choices. With the Common App, you get only one essay. So you really want to think about what do you most want to convey about yourself. And I would say in general, just for that one essay, if you're using the Common App, focus more on something other than music. You certainly can talk about it in your application, in your activities, but if you are interested in math and statistics and things like that, you're going to want to focus on probably more of your academic experience and or passion within your essay, if you get only one essay to write, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next one is Valerie.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Valerie.
Hi. So my question is, so I want to major in biomedical engineering.
Okay.
And in my school, there's this program called Girls Got Grit, and I was able to give a presentation to a group of professional people, including people that speak on Hawaii News Now,
Okay.
and about teenage vaping and like public health. And I was also invited with my team along to speak with the staff and managers of Hawaii.
Okay.
So I was wondering if that's a good topic to write about in an essay.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to talk about. It's current. It's relevant. Today, people are thinking about health, among other things, right, with COVID. And, especially vaping is related to respiratory issues and stuff. So it's timely for today. And I think it also is related to your major. So why not? Absolutely. It's a great idea.
You got my attention. I was like, wow, that sounded really interesting. So
yeah, it definitely will set you
good.
apart from other applicants.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, that's great. And I also was an intern for 8 weeks at Straub Medical Center also.
Wow.
And I just applied to this paid internship this summer, but due to this
You need to go. Stop coming back and forth.
Because of this COVID-19 situation, I'm not sure if it will continue. I didn't receive an email about it yet, but I'm hoping it'll still continue. But yeah, I interned at a hospital during the school year. So would that be an okay thing to include in the essay?
Yes.
Okay.
Try to include both in your essay if you can. And obviously, if you're going to get that summer internship, if it turns out, you can mention that you will be interning there. And of course, you'd be actually able to write about that as well in your essay because you'll have the summer, before you actually apply. If for some reason, if that internship doesn't turn out, if it doesn't work out, you can write about that in response to the COVID-19 question, because you can say you had this fabulous internship lined up. You can talk all about it and then say how COVID unfortunately impacted your ability to get the internship. So either way, you can actually talk about it in your application.
Oh, I see. Do you think that's a good idea for the Common App application for all the schools, or maybe a supplemental essay?
Yes, absolutely. It would be great.
Sorry, which essay do you recommend
Oh,
me?
okay. Well, if you're going to choose one essay for the Common App, I would choose an essay. Then I don't have the topics in front of me, so I'd have to look and see which one would match. But I would say to write about your project and internship experience. That's basically what you'd want to focus your essay about.
Okay. And I'm kind of getting a hard time to start the essay, like to show, not tell.
Yes.
And how do you recommend I should start that?
I think for your first draft, do the best you can to get the information out of your head and into your paper, right? So type it through your fingers, get it out there. And then after you've written that first draft, go paragraph by paragraph and think, okay, have I done this? Have I said what I want to say? Have I given an anecdote to back that up, and then reminded them this is what I said, which is really, what that key is about. So if after you read what you've written, you might say to yourself, well, there's a way I could have said this better, and I want to add this anecdote to back that up, or I want to change some of the words that I've used to show that I'm more connected. Being emotionally connected is the best advice I give every single student I talk to. I've worked with students who were fabulous writers and who did really well in school. And in fact, one of them was an English major. And for some reason in his college application essay, he was completely disconnected. So you have to really think about that this piece of paper represents who you are. And you need to come across as passionate about what you're doing. And I think that's probably for you going to come across because you've had these fantastic experiences that you'll be able to write about. And so if you think about how those experiences have made you feel, how you've been able to help other people, you're going to be able to be emotionally connected and create that experience for the reader.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Really interested in health.
I'm so glad.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next one up is Brianna. Are you there?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm a community college student in San Diego, and my goal is to apply to UC schools primarily, but I'm just a bit concerned with how to make an impact because I know that a lot of transfer students they have the same ambition. And right now, I just want to know what I can do to stand above the crowd other than doing honors programs, which I've completed, and having a GPA that fits the school's average, because those are things that I'm in control of, but I want to know what I should be considering that I'm not thinking of.
Okay. So you cut out just slightly. I just want to clarify, which schools are you targeting to apply to?
First and foremost, UCLA, and then UC Berkeley, then UCSD.
Okay. Okay. So what's your GPA, if you don't mind me asking?
It's 3.6.
Okay, great. And what's your major?
I'm an English literature major.
Okay, great. So, I would say you've got a strong GPA. Obviously, you're targeting some top schools, and so that's always going to be a little bit difficult, right? But what I would say is, in addition to your GPA, you can impress them with some of your extracurriculars and your essay. As an English lit major, writing a strong essay is going to be key, right? So you're going to want to really focus on that and make sure your essay is outstanding. Because if you were, a math major or something like that, it wouldn't maybe matter quite as much. But because your writing is representing who you are and it represents your major, you're going to definitely want to focus on that. So that would be my first advice, is to really spend some time on that essay. And also within, and actually you're applying to UC schools, so you're going to be writing 4 essays. So you're going to have plenty of opportunity to showcase your writing ability. So you want to choose your 4 essays carefully. You get to choose among 8 topics, and you're going to get to choose 4 of them. So make sure that each one kind of stands on its own. And again, you want to pick something unique about yourself that you can convey in each of those essays. And then beyond that, you talked about the Honors College. If you have any internship opportunities, if you've volunteered, if you've been maybe a tutor at your college or a TA, something like that, anything that demonstrates your ability. And then, a lot of people do things like write fan fiction online, things like that. If you've done some blogging or personal writing or, things like that, you can talk about that as well. And that will also help set you apart for your major.
Could I ask a few more questions?
Yeah, if they're brief, because I know we've got a lot of people here, but yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I just wanted to ask if it's a good suggestion to mold my essays to each individual's college kind of like platform and vibe, or if that's too manipulative, and if whether or not I should I'll start with that question really quickly.
Okay. Well, when you apply to a UC school, the same 4 essays are going to go to all of the UC schools. So you can't really mold them to each individual campus, but you can mold them to the University of California in general. And I would say, you know, the schools you're targeting are the most elite among the UC system. So as long as you target for one of them, you're probably going to be okay targeting for all three. I would say if you're going to target for UCLA or UC Berkeley, and you should be fine.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to take up too much time. So
Okay. Well, thank you and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, Jennifer, you're doing an amazing job. All the details, all the things you know. Like, how did you know that question? Like where did you? Do you have a book or a Bible, or do you have like Wikipedia in front of you? How do you know all these answers?
Because I've worked with students for so many years. These are things I talk about all the time, and I happen to be in California. That's where I'm from, so I know the university system very well. Yeah.
Thank you. So for those who ask questions, you know, feel free to open your camera so we can have a look at you. It was good to see your faces when we talk to you. Don't be shy. So the next one is Anne. I don't see your mic enabled, so maybe you can try to enable. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. I had a quick question. So I'm a sophomore in high school, so I'm on the younger side.
Okay.
And I was wondering, I definitely want to go to a competitive university, but I'm a little worried because my extracurriculars are outstanding. I'm interested in entrepreneurship, but I've done a lot to pursue that. Creating an app. I'm an ambassador for the largest online entrepreneurship competition for high school students. So I've done a lot to pursue outside of school, but I'm worried that my test scores and my GPA aren't really meeting.
Okay.
They're not super duper competitive. They're not bad. They're definitely not bad, but they're not at the level that I want to be at. You know what I mean? So I was like, will they throw away my application if they look at it and they see that my test scores aren't what they need to be? Or I don't really know what the deal is.
So first of all, no, they're not going to throw away your application. But let me get a little bit more information so I can more clearly target what you're looking to find out. So first of all, what state do you live in?
I live in Massachusetts.
Okay. And are you targeting public in-state, or are you targeting out-of-state or private?
I'm targeting private universities near me, but I'm also looking at some international schools. But I'm just asking for the in-state schools.
Okay. All right. And if you don't mind me asking, what is your current GPA?
Current GPA is like a 3.8.
Oh.
It's good.
That was what she's worried about.
Yeah, that's actually a really good GPA. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're really hard.
Yeah. I mean, I know some students, it can be so challenging. Let me just say, it can be so challenging when you hear students say, I've got a 4.3, I've got a 4.5, and you're like, who are you? And how many AP classes can one person handle?
Yeah.
You know, I think you have a great GPA. Be very proud.
That 3.8 is weighted though.
Well, okay, but still, the people that have the 4.3 GPAs, their GPAs are weighted as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and have you taken the PSAT or the SAT yet?
PSAT, I did not do so hot on. PSAT, I think I got an 1100, which I haven't done any practice, and I'm also a sophomore.
Yeah, so you've got time. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, a couple ways you can boost your GPA if you feel you need to for the colleges you're targeting. One would be to take AP classes.
Yeah.
You can also take classes at a local community college. You can take them online or in person. It's
dual
a great
enrollment.
way. What'd you say?
Like dual enrollment, sorry.
Yes, exactly. Right. I really think that dual enrollment is a great way to go. With an AP class, first of all, I will just tell you from, my daughter's experience and my son's as well. With an AP class, sometimes they make the classes even harder than at a college, right? And then on top of that, you work your tail off to do really well in the class, and you still don't get college credit unless you pass the exam. When you take a dual enrollment class, you get college credit because you're enrolled in a college class. You don't have to worry about it. So that's one great way, either of those, to boost your GPA. And then as far as your test scores, do some test prep, and you don't have to start now as a sophomore. I would say between your junior and senior year is when you really want to test prep a lot. You want to take that summer and do your test prep. And, I recommend taking either the SAT or ACT, whichever one you're going to focus on. Take them in the spring of your junior year as your first exam, and then study hard over the summer, take it again in early fall, and you then have an opportunity to even take it in early, or I should say late fall or early winter. As long as you take it no later than December, you could actually get 3 test administrations out of that, which will give you plenty of chances to boost your score. And then, of course, let's just say something terrible happens and you don't get the score you're looking for, you can apply to test optional schools. So you have lots of opportunities. And the fact that you have set yourself apart by doing all of the amazing things you're doing and they're related to your career interest, you're going to be miles ahead of a lot of your peers anyway. So many high school students do lots of wonderful things, but they're not necessarily related to their major. So if you can do the things you're doing, you're going to make yourself look great. Your essays are going to be really interesting to read. So I think you're going to do great. And just so that I said it, my daughter went to an in-state school in California. She had a 3.74 GPA in high school. And she just graduated with her bachelor's degree and graduated with a 3.98 college GPA. Wow. So, anybody can boost their GPA, but it's much better to get a higher GPA in college than in high school. You're doing great, and you're going to be fine.
I had one more quick question. So my sophomore year, that's when I have the 3.8 weighted. Like last year, my freshman year, I did 3.3. So as I'm looking at like really competitive universities, I'm just worried that my test scores are gonna really weigh me down.
Sure. Well, I can't speak to that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What would that look like from an admissions counselor's like point of view? If like, oh, she's all these really cool things that she's doing, but the test scores might not be there. I want to show them that like I'm capable of taking these rigorous classes and being able to like do well and succeed at their university, but I don't really know how to convey that when I'm not having the best GPA and
well, first of all,
SAT scores and whatever.
First of all, if you want to show you can do something rigorous by taking dual enrollment classes, you'll have already proven it. If you can succeed and do well in those classes, some students don't take great. Some students are not great test takers. Colleges understand that, and in fact, when you talk to admissions reps, yes, the test scores are helpful, but they are more interested in GPA than they are in test scores in general, because a test score might prove you know how to take a good test take. You might be a good test taker, but a good GPA shows you actually show up for class, do the work, get it done, turn it in on time, and so forth. So that's going to be better, a better way to judge how a student will succeed in college.
Absolutely. That's it for me. Thank you so much. You've been so helpful.
Oh, well, thank you.
So Jennifer, thank you. We are 2 minutes left, and to be transparent, like we literally have 40 hands up, and so let's do the 3 if it's okay for you. There's 3 more that is accepted into the room. If they make the 1 question each, do you mind?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So, and by the way, I think we need to do this more often. It seems more people need answers.
Yeah, I'm happy to do one of these next week if you want, and we can invite all of these people back and they can ask their questions.
Yeah. So if for you here, send in question to support@scholarshipOwl.com and say we want Jennifer on again. Okay, and we'll make it happen because we see people need help. So next one is Mariama. Are you there?
Hi. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is pretty easy. I wanted to ask if early action is also binding to a college, or is it only early decision?
Okay. Yes, it's early decision that is binding. With early action, you can apply to as many colleges early action as you would like. And so for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I'll be very brief. There are colleges, especially private schools in particular, where they sometimes give multiple admission deadlines. So there's early decision, early action, and regular decision. And when somebody applies either early decision or early action, sometimes the decision is made right away. Sometimes the admission decision is deferred to regular decision. But what happens is when you decide to apply early decision, you want to apply to just the one school that you want to go to if you get in, right? So basically, no matter what, you're ready to say yes to that particular school. The only way you can get out of an acceptance to a school you applied to early decision is for financial reasons. But I personally recommend that people apply early action unless money is no object. If money is no object, if ready to go, then you can apply early decision to the college of your dreams. But I personally recommend early action versus early decision. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
I think her audio went out, so we'll move to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you. And Mariana? She has no mic. Oh, there she is. Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm a sophomore in high school, and I've been kind of worried. I've been looking through. I made a portfolio for myself since I have all the time in the world in this COVID-19.
Yeah.
So I compiled everything I've done so far. The only thing I am missing, in my opinion, is like internships or something like service hours towards like medical, since I'm planning to go into like pre-med. But the problem is I live in a very, very small town. There isn't very much opportunities to get into there. I'm planning to volunteer at our local hospital, and there's another town 30 minutes away. I'm planning to volunteer there after COVID-19. I'm just asking for ideas to maybe do right now or maybe in the future.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it is difficult when you don't have a lot of resources near where you live for internship opportunities, and especially right now with COVID.
Right.
One thing that I guess I always recommend, because I've had students ask me this before, is, you know, when they want to do something in dental or in medical or veterinary, you've got your own family doctor. I would recommend talking to your own family doctor and talking about what you want to do, and ask if there's anything you can do to volunteer in the doctor's office, and or if the doctor knows somebody and can connect you to a place that might have you come on as a volunteer. Oftentimes doctors are willing to do something like that, or if they can't have you as a volunteer for whatever reason, maybe you could ask if you could job shadow somebody for a day. It's a great way to start, because there are people who already care about you, and they've seen you grow up, and they're going to be touched that you're interested in going into their field. So that's a great place to start. And, you know, and you can also ask your parents to ask their family, their personal physician,
right,
to make that connection for you as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we have one final question, Jennifer, and
right.
That's from Jennifer.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Love the name, by the way. So I've always wanted to major in psychology. It's been my plan since I think 8th grade. But recently, during this time, I've been more interested in charity work, like actually pursuing a career in it. But I really do want to go into college for psychology. Do you think that it would be fine if I wrote my essay all about the charity work, about how much it speaks to me, while still having psychology as my major? Because I know that some colleges like it where you're relating what you've done to your college. I mean, to your major. But
sure.
Is that
yeah. Well, first of all, charity work is related to psychology. I was a psych major in college, so it's something I know a lot about. And I got my master's in counseling as well. So yes, you can definitely write about charity work. It is related to psychology. A lot of the jobs that are in the field, until you get a master's degree or are licensed, a lot of the jobs you can get are going to be working for nonprofits. So it's a great place to start. And, you know, I don't know what kinds of charities you've been involved with or what you will be involved with as you move forward, but it's definitely a great way to go. And that could be anything from, you know, working with food banks, with, you know, children's shelters, domestic violence shelters, there's church organizations that you're involved in. So any of that would be great for an application essay.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So, Adrian,
Oh.
why don't you tell them all about the cheat sheet that they're going to get, and
Yes.
anything else you want to offer?
I noticed that I put it up for sharing, and I noticed that I misspelled it. It's a checklist without a K. So for the record, so on the right bar, it should be something called an offer, and under offer, it takes a link to the COVID-19 scholarships we have. I highly recommend you to apply there because the chances to win are increasing every day as we're adding more and more awards. And then under files, you can also download the checklist or chess list, what I wrote. And then we will be sending you an email within 24 hours with the replay and also the link to the scholarships and the link to the checklist to download in case you missed it. I want to thank Jennifer for being so generous and being on this call. She's extremely knowledgeable, and we're lucky to have you. And I would love to set up another one in the coming next week or two, because we had the overwhelming response with questions, and people need help, and it's really hard during these times to find anyone to ask questions and knows what's going on. So we're going to try. Yeah.
I was just going to say one thing there. You know, I've tried to help people that I'm working with, my daughter's boyfriend and other people that I know. And it's hard. You can't even call the colleges now because no one answers the phone. You know, they do their best. They email you back. You can call and leave a voicemail and hope they get back to you. But I'm here. I work from home, and I love doing these. So I'd be happy to do one again very soon.
Yeah. Final thing is, a lot of people were asking, do you have scholarship for this? Do you have scholarship for that? I recommend going to ScholarshipOwl.com, sign up for a 7-day trial, and see what scholarship you're eligible for, and then cancel the trial if you need to. At least then you know what scholarships are available for you in your current condition, whatever that. So some people ask very detailed questions about certain attributes they have, some disability and other things. And we have all those scholarships on our platform, and sign up for a trial. And if you don't like it, just cancel it. But at least then you know what scholarships are out there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your time. We are doing what we can and what we can from our side. And in 2 weeks, we will have a huge announcement to help students. So we're really looking forward to that. So we'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Good luck, everyone. Bye.